Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Hunk. The Nissan Stadium groundbreaking is happening tomorrow. Do not forget that it is going to begin at 1:30 down in the parking lot. And if you're not able to be there, you can actually watch it on the Tennessee Titans website. Speaking of Nissan Stadium, apparently the Titans are not a fan, at least the players are not a fan of the new playing surface. The NFLPA released their report cards, and it was based on 1,700 players' surveys that they took, and they said the two things that Titans players complained about the most were the traveling accommodations and the fact that the Titans swapped from a grass surface to the artificial one. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans, as well as home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Yo, what up, Nashville? 3HL is on the air. Brew Doherty with you on a beautiful day in the Music City, right, Keith Bullock?
Yes, sir. It's a little chilly. Yesterday was it was really nice yesterday.
I got my car leaving here yesterday. It said 73 degrees.
I thought I was going to go outside and hit the driving range at some point today. Wrong.
Big line of storms this morning that came through.
This morning when I left Huntsville, it was 71. By the time I got here, it was 40.
And the rain was coming in. I had one of my employees hit me this morning. It was like, the wind blew the door open. Should we lock the front door and so it doesn't blow the door off? I'm like, well, how are people going to get in the store if you lock the front door? Come on,
That's not the right solution. There's got to be a better solution than just love at McEwen.
It's so funny the things I go through, man.
That's the phone call you got. How'd you solve that problem? Do you know?
I was like, yo, look, just make sure the door is fully closed, and we want to get customers, so just don't lock the door.
Don Davenport on assignment. She'll be back tomorrow. Ron Slay on assignment. He'll be back tomorrow. Keith Bullock filling in, former Titan linebacker, two-time All-Pro.
Yeah, man, I got to be a cute savage, I guess.
A cute savage.
Yeah, Don, the female, and then Ron, what do y'all call?
I thought you were saying Ron was cute and that Don was the savage.
I got to be a mix of both of them. So what?
All right, well, we got 3 hours to prove that.
We'll figure it out.
And people can watch the show live.
Don's more than cute. She brings more to the table than that. Let's clarify that.
Okay, good. Yes. I'll say nothing. YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. Thank you, Joe Hunk, executive producer of 3HL. Only yesterday is Coach Mack at 3:20. He's going to report in live from the Combine in Indianapolis. What do you remember about that event?
To me, it was all business. That's kind of what I got drafted in 2000. So, I didn't know any of these guys that I was going to compete against. Maybe
really
from the Senior Bowl, maybe a couple guys that maybe I met from the Senior Bowl. But back then, you just know guys from TV and what you read, and cutouts and things of that nature. So for me, it was all business. I think after in hindsight, it was just part of the process, because guys like Urlacher, LeVar Arrington, Julian Peterson, like those guys, they didn't work out at all. And I guess their spots were kind of solidified as first rounders. But for me, I was in the notion where it could only help me raise my stock as much as possible. And then, after it's all said and done, I just, it can help a lot of guys. It can help some guys. But I think for the most part, teams already have their minds made up, like who they want to take with their first pick for the most part. So if you want to take a linebacker or a quarterback or a wide receiver, you pretty much know that you're going to take that guy based off their pro day, their interview, or the time that you spent with them, or that's just your guy. So I say all that because, I could have went anywhere between 9th and 14th, and that made sense because, I spoke to the Green Bay Packers. I spoke to the Bears. I spoke to the 49ers, and they all kind of took, linebackers. Green Bay took one in the second round because that's when Mark Chimera had gotten trouble that year. So they took Bubba Franks in the first round, tight end, and then took a linebacker in the second round. But all those teams, I kind of had an inclination that I could possibly get drafted there, and definitely no clue that the Titans we're going to take me.
That's interesting. So let's go through that process. You did all the drills?
Yeah.
Was it a nerve-wracking experience?
Nah, it's drills. It's drills. So the only drill I didn't do was run my 40 because I was like number 12 to run, and 4 guys before me pulled their hamstring.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because it's a little chilly in that dome.
So then it's risk-reward.
Yeah, and then it was like, by the time it's like 10 numbers, I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna risk that. But yeah, I did everything else, and drills are drills. Drills are easy to me. There was nothing really nerve-wracking. I knew I was going to do my drops. I knew I was going to get over the bags. I knew I was going to catch the ball. I knew I was going to show speed. Yeah, if it's based off all that, I definitely got drafted, I guess, where I should have got drafted.
So then you meet with teams, right? Like, so what were the interview sessions like? Did you even meet with the Titans?
I did.
Okay.
I did remember. I met with Jim Schwartz, and I feel like Schwartz asked me something. He asked me a question pertaining to, it's more so of a character question, I guess, because it was pertaining to, Ray Lewis had just gotten into trouble, and it was more of a question like, what would you do in a situation where you're with your friends? Something like that. It didn't have anything to necessarily do with football. And I remember interviewing with Jack Del Rio. He's
crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really like him. He just comes out. He's like, "Oh, so I hear you're late to meetings." And I'm like, "What?
Oh my goodness,
like late to meetings?" And I hear you there. I'm like, I don't know. So it's like one of those things that
He's just trying to see how
you don't know which
to it.
way you're gonna go. You know what I mean? At least they ain't call my mom a crackhead or an alcoholic or something.
Yeah. So with Schwartzy's line of questioning, I guess he was trying to see if you were a leader or a follower.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
And then the other one, Jack Del Rio, I guess, was just trying to see your reaction.
Yeah, and then for the most, they just kind of ask you, like, I think for me, for what I remember, it was not a lot about football. That's more so when they bring you in, on your individual visit, when they, like, a team really has interest in you and they bring you into their facility. That's kind of when they get down to the football. Because when I went to the Rams, I had to draw up, the defense that we ran, where I went, what everyone did, draw up a blitz, like, all
Did y'all run a 4-3 or 3-4 at Syracuse?
We ran 4-3.
Okay. So then 4-3 with Greg Williams here. I mean, with Jim Schwartz here.
Yeah, well, when I first got here, it was like they were still doing that automatic front, which is AFC. Like you change the front based on the offensive formation and stuff like that.
Well, and it's funny because with the hiring of Denard Wilson, Titans defense coordinator, he worked under Greg Williams, who runs a 4-3. He worked under Todd Bowles, who has kind of a hybrid type thing. Yeah. He goes 4-3, 3-4. Most of the coaches I talk to say it really doesn't matter because you're very rarely in base anyway.
Yeah,
you change your front. I guess kind of like what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's very true. This game, the way this game is played today, you're very seldomly out there with 3 linebackers. A lot of times, some teams' base formation is, my last year with the Giants, they ran 5 defensive backs. Deion Grant, Kenny Phillips, Antrell Roll. So they did 3 safeties because those are all safeties over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
The game was changing at that time. Too. Yeah, so you move one of them into the box and you got your 4-3, but it's really like a hybrid because you got a bigger safety in the box. So it just also depends on personnel that you have and the creativity of your defensive coordinator, because when you really think about it, I like that even better when you have the 3 safeties, because now you automatically take out or have a great matchup for their tight end or their third, pass catcher in hybrid base offensive package. So, we never know.
So I guess the question is, like, if they move to a 4-3, could Harold Landry play legit 4-3 outside linebacker?
I don't think so. And that's not showing any shade or anything, but like.
So it's hard to make a switch like that based on roster that you've built over years.
Yeah, that's like, we're going to run a 4-3, and now we're going to put Javon Curse at, 4-3 outside linebacker. Whereas you can run a 3-4 and have Javon Curse at 3-4 outside linebacker where he could be effective, but I'm a 4-3 outside linebacker. That's why I don't have stats of sacks and all of those different things because I'm playing right. I'm playing off the ball, and you always want to have 4 pass rushers. So you got Van den Bosch, you got your Kevin Carter, Javon Curse, you got your Albert Hainsworth, and then you got your interior linemen, your Tony Brown, Randy Starks, Kevin, whoever you put in there. You don't need another line. I would definitely ask Schwartz when I was young. Yeah, how come I never blitz? And that's kind of how it broke it down to me. Like, why am I gonna? Why would I blitz you? And I got Javon. And he just kind of. I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Well, and then that's when you hit tape study and figured out how to intercept passes.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it's a matter of that they just got to throw the ball because if you got a good D line, the ball is going to come out fast, and then you can be in the positions that you need to be in to make plays. Smart quarterbacks aren't really going to, really risk too many things. Peyton Manning was very smart, and if you have a good offensive coordinator, they're going to scheme the good defensive players up. You see it all the time in those New England, when you hear Bill Belichick and Tom Brady talk of those videos when they're playing the Ravens. Like, they're always looking where Ed Reed is. So you're always trying to show someone that's into film study, that's on top of their assignments, something different to kind of mess them up. And, there are good teams. There are teams that are good at that.
We're going to spend most of our time today on the Tennessee Titans. Want to pick Keith Bullock's brain about what's been going on this offseason and what we expect to happen as we continue to roll through the offseason toward the NFL draft. The Combine obviously going on now. You can watch the show live, YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch.
Twitch, please.
F&M Bank Chat is open. Lonzo says, the living legend, Keith Bullock, number 53. Pistol Grip, Mr. Monday Night. Jeremy, what up, KB53? Mr. Monday Night. Got milk, stash joke. So the people are welcoming you in the chat. So, we're going to have fun today. Mike Herndon, NFL, with the story. Titans players raising 2 big issues that stand out from the NFLPA survey. We'll hit on that. We've got tons to get to. Want to get your take on Denard Wilson saying he wants his style of defense will be attack, violent in our approach, play smart, various things like that. We've got a lot to get to. Coming up next, Coach Mack joins us from Indianapolis. He is at the Combine, 3HL 1045 The Zone. Have you heard about T-Mobile Home Internet Lite? Yep, Internet Lite. Someone actually thought making light internet was a good idea. What does Internet Lite mean? It means it's internet, but not full-on internet. It means when you hit your allotted data, you get throttled to dial-up like speeds from the 90s. A lot of us remember that, and that was not fun. And that means that you can be downloading a video game, and boom, you get throttled. Nobody wants that. You want strong, fast, reliable internet. You want Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com/TMOFacts. Now through March 21st, new customers get started with 75 megabits per second Xfinity internet for less than what you would pay for T-Mobile home internet. It's all just $20 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Switch today. Go to Xfinity.com/TMOFacts. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees are extra. After the promotion, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
It's a big Saturday night in Smashville. The Preds continue a 5-game homestand Saturday, March 2nd. You can see the Preds take on the Colorado Avalanche at 5 o'clock at Bridgestone Arena. It is Kids Day. You bring the whole family, and the first 2,500 kids receive custom Preds shoe charms. Get tickets for the game at NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and then make sure you never miss any games when you secure season tickets. They just went on sale for the 24-25 season. The Preds are giving you a jersey with your tickets, plus a ton of other great benefits. Lock in those seats. NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
3HL 1045 The Zone. Britt Doherty with you. Ron Slay and Don Davenport will be back tomorrow. Keith Bullock in the house.
Holding it down.
Man, I should have got you to bring me some coffee, man. I need a little pick-me-up. Just love coffee.
I was there today, too. I was in the shop.
Coach Mack joins us live from Indianapolis. The Combine obviously going on this week. Coach, what's up? How are you?
What is up, Brent Bull? What's going on, man?
Not much, man.
I just saw Delaney Walker in the hallway here. He's monitoring and advising the tight ends here, and then I just sent him in to talk to Ramon and Rhett, and so we're all here doing something.
Good.
What's happening there?
Nothing. Just a big line of storms rolled through. Now it's cold again. But have you hit St. Elmo's yet? Did you get some shrimp cocktail?
I took the entire Titans radio crew, invitation only by Coach Mack. I took them to dinner last night at St. Elmo's.
Coach, you're a vet at this, and I've been to the Combine before, obviously as a player, but then as a retired player as well. How much of it do you get into? Like, I know you pick your spots to get into at the Combine, and for those who haven't been, there's more than obviously for the players, they're doing everything to get their career, but there's more going on. There's a lot of like different meetings of the minds, and just coach talk and so on and so forth. How much of that do you find yourself getting into at this point of all your years going?
A lot, KB. I mean, I've been to every Combine they've had. This is my 38th Combine, and so now on the other side of it, of course, when I was coaching. And my duties would change during the years here. When I was an assistant coach, then when I'm a coordinator, then when I'm an assistant head coach, and when I'm a head coach, all of those different positions changed a whole lot. What my duties were here, but it still surrounds what this is about. Is finding out about the players, but also the higher you get here, the more that you do a lot of interleague work right now, talking with people, and because this, the free agency is getting ready to come up.
Yep.
It's a lot easier now, guys, to conduct business here as a team executive because all the suites are together, around Lucas Oil. But that's always been. I mean, this has always been a business center, for the league with that type of things. And as the league calendar has changed over the years, then you have a chance to be able to prep yourself for the free agency, to look at, what goes on. The fact that now the salary cap numbers are coming out before the Combine, there's a reason for that, so that people can start talking and setting what their free agent ideas are with their team. So I guess to answer your question, when I was an assistant coach, everything I did was really centered on what my position group was here and all that entailed. In fact, going to the bench press, going to the vertical jump and the broad jump, and then, watching and timing and all of that stuff. And as you progress, then your headlights, you got to put your bright lights on and widen what you're doing here. And then, of course, when I was a head coach, then I'm involved in all the conversations. And so it changes a lot. Now, what I'm doing now, of course, when we're the first 3 days in there in the radio row, and also the podiums where they're set up, we've got it. And I'm asked, I go to, I think there's 35 or 40 radio stations set up here.
Oh, wow.
Team stations. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's big.
That's really grown. Yeah.
I'm asked to go to and speak, and be on the air with some of those people, just about the draft and how the Titans are doing. But then we have guests that, you see what Titans are putting out. We do a lot of planning. Amy and Mike Keith do a lot of planning coming in here, and then they kind of guide Rhett Bryan and I and Ramon where they want us to go, and and sit in on the various conversations that we have. So it's a pretty full day. But the things change. I mean, the last 7 years doing this for Titans Radio, I get a whole different aspect of it. But I love it all. As I say, I'm one of the few here that's been to all 38 of them.
Coach Mack joins us live from Indianapolis at the Combine, yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much it's grown. Will it be weird for it to leave Indianapolis and go on a rotation? Of course, I reported a couple weeks ago that Nashville hotels have been asked to bid for the NFL Pro Bowl and the NFL Combine. Would that be a weird situation for it to leave Indianapolis?
I would shed a tear if it left Indy, except if it goes to Nashville, I'm all in.
Hey, I'm with you, Coach Mack. I'm with you on that
right,
one.
Keith? Hey, I'm all in. If it's here, it's been such a great setup. But if it goes to Nashville, which would be suited for this, believe me, I'm all in for that, brother.
So everybody gets caught up in the 40-yard dash, right? Like everybody likes to watch those. And for me, like I mentioned this yesterday, like watching Darnell Wright, for example, former Tennessee offensive tackle, last year run a 5.0140. Like a big man like that, over 300 pounds, moving that fast, that's something to be seen. But what are the more important drills that maybe NFL personnel are looking at positionally?
Well, let's start with Darnell Wright, and let's start with the offensive lineman, if you want to, which is a big group here. There's a big group of really good players here for that. The first thing is something that you don't even see. It's when they take you into the room underneath Lucas Oil and have them stand. They film it all. And send it to all the teams. They stand and then just flex and bend down with your arm straight out as deep as you can without wavering and without pointing your feet out. You understand what I'm saying? You get your feet shoulder width apart, stand and face the camera, stick your arms out, and then just bend. And for the bigger men, they're looking at lower body flex, trying to find the lower body flex, because that's a huge part of it. You know, especially big men. If you're working with big men that don't have much lower body flex, and all of a sudden you've got waist benders. You know, ask Keith. Keith rushed the passer a lot in this league. You got a guy that's a waist bender, you got him beat off of the jump. You know, so you're looking for big men that can bend and have lower body flex, but then also can move their feet. And then the drills that show that type of thing, you know, to be able to, you know, and the 40-yard dash for an offensive lineman, you tell me the last time you've seen a lineman in the league run a 40-yard dash in a game. You know, it's just
I see Jason Kelce get down there pretty far.
Yeah, they're not timed. That just doesn't happen. What you're looking for, and again, you know why Darnell Wright got drafted as high as he did? Because he could block the shit out of people, and he could move it, and he could move his feet.
That's the first time I've had to dump Coach Mack.
I hope. Was it you or Joe Hunk that had to dump it?
I think we both did.
Yeah, we got quick twitch over here, Coach.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just being honest.
No, I know, I love it, and that went through on social media and all that stuff. So, and I love the point. I wish we could say things like that, because that's exactly what it was, right? And so the quick twitch drills are like for the skill players. Is that maybe a little bit more important?
Change of direction.
Yes.
Change of direction is what you're looking for, and then each of those things is position specific. You know, if you're looking for linebackers, like what KB did, a huge drill for the linebackers when I was coaching linebackers, I would watch would be the W drill. You know what I'm talking about, KB?
Yeah.
It'd be the W drill, watching the instant within a 4.5 yard range, because that's really the life you live as a behind the ball backer. I mean, the first instant reaction, and then being able to transition from back to forward in the 4.5 yard area. That's what you work on. That's what you look at. Guys that don't have to take that extra step, you know, to be able to do that. Guys that can transition off of their back foot as soon as it hits the ground, keep level shoulders, all of that stuff. Yes, you look at that. You look at it secondary. It's the guys, you know, that do the back pedal and the double hip turn, keeping their eyes back towards the quarterback, and then throw the ball, you know, deep over their shoulder and see if they can find the ball by running deep without bouncing on their heels. All of those things are position specific that you do, and these drills have been refined. You know, I worked on the floor, you know, for the draft combine here for the first 6 years. I mean, before they were bringing extra quarterbacks in here, I threw every drill for the linebackers for 6 years. That's why my arm's gone now. But, you know, but those things are specific, but you learn what to look for and to look at, and you also learn it's a piece of the evaluation puzzle. It's a piece of the evaluation puzzle. But when you're looking for certain things, just like these new coaches that have come in, you hear about the profile tapes that they made for the scouting department. You know, when they came in, that's what they spent the last 3 weeks doing, which is a huge thing, you know, to say, hey, here's position specific for my guys, what I'm looking for. And when you have veteran coaches, you can do that.
Coach, what is, you got the guys that obviously can benefit from going to the combine. And then now you got, Marvis Harrison Jr., he doesn't have to work out.
Yeah.
I remember when I was coming out, I was telling Brent off the air, Urlacher, Arrington, Julian Peterson, they didn't work out in our linebacker group. So there are certain guys where, teams, they just know that these guys are dudes. How much can the combine help somebody who might be a tweener, or do you really believe that it really helps people that much?
Well, the two things, first of all, those guys didn't work out, but they all went through the interview process.
Right.
And they all went through the medical process, which is major. But on the field stuff, yes, guys that you may have a question about, or you may, you when you're grinding tape on them, you're going, you know what, I'd really like to see if he is really this twitchy, or I'd like to really see. And again, in the secondary or at the receiver spot, you'd really kind of like to get something you can compare to, because he looks fast on film, but does he look fast because the guys that are chasing him aren't fast? Or does he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those types of things are important. But if you've got some of those dudes that are and you said it right, KB. I mean, you live this life. Dudes that are dudes, they're going to get drafted off of what they produce, and plus, their God-given abilities. But they're all here because they need the exposure here.
Right.
That's very, very important. But to go through the workout, it's not going to make you think they're any better player.
So how do you rank all these things? Coach Mack in Indianapolis at the Combine, the tape from college, talking to coaches. I've talked to NFL guys that talk to like janitors at the facility and stuff like that about guys, but tape from college coaches, the combine, the pro day, the interviews. How do all those things kind of rank themselves?
The game tape overrides everything. Game tape overrides everything. Everything else is supplemental to that, because at the end of the day, you're playing football. So your game tape, and the longer you've been in the league, the more you can pull from a game tape. It's not just watching film. And you got a guy sitting right next to you that was a really master at this. It's studying tape. You don't watch the tape, when you're getting ready to play somebody. You study it, and you study it because you're picking out what's going to be important to you. If you're an evaluator, you study what is important to you as far as the position. So game tape supersedes everything. Everything else is a good addition to it, but you're not ever, and you got some huge mistakes that are made if you ever, and when we can go through it, if you ever draft somebody just off of what they did, say, at the Combine.
Coach Mack with us on 3HL. Positionally, what are you looking at? It looks like the head coach said offensive tackle and wide receiver pretty deep.
They are deep. I'm looking at everything. I'll be in Lucas Oil. I'm going to fit that seat pretty well for the next till they're over with. But yeah, the offensive linemen. I'm watching them all. Offensive linemen, the receivers. I'm looking at it all. Now, if you want to talk about specific, I've done a lot of radio hits across the country since I've been in the radio row here. Starting from Tuesday to today, is that. The group that's deepest, the groups that are deepest, offensive line, wide receivers, cornerbacks. And the offensive line, I'm not just saying offensive tackles, I'm saying offensive line. They're interior offensive linemen in this draft that are going to be the thing, Brent and KB, that's different about this draft is the belly of the draft in some of these places has been thinned out a little bit, because some of these dudes are going back to school for NIL money.
Mm-hmm. There's only 34 early entrants.
There you go. And so there's a reason
Isn't that
for that.
crazy?
And plus, you're on the back end of the COVID thing too. So this is kind of an unusual year, but the numbers, you just want to talk about pure numbers. When Rhett and I are just starting to get into the podding of these players and put them in pods, PODS, as far as to where, we can start our vertical and our horizontal board, which is the way you put a draft board together. The offensive linemen, the wide receivers, and the cornerbacks, you're going to go pretty deep into the belly of draft with these guys that can help you.
Mac, you've been in the game for so long, and now you're on the radio side, but you're in the building, and you come across football heads with the Titans a lot. Does anyone ever maybe ask you for like a little insight? Because I know coming from our world, we can tend to be closed off. We can kind of tend to be know-it-alls sometimes, and then you got the people that no, seriously. Then you got people that you can't get. They'll take information from anywhere. So I know if I was a coach and Coach Mack is in the building, I'm gonna, hey Mack, what do you think about that tackle from TCU? Or you know what I'm saying? I'm just curious if you get any of that from anyone around the league.
The advantage, and it's a great question, and it's legit. First of all, I don't ever insert myself.
And I know you wouldn't do that, first and foremost. I know you're not going to go, hey, guys, this is what I think. I don't see it like that at all.
No, because I respect the profession too much. But if I'm approached, and see, the advantage that I have now, just like this new staff, I've worked with a lot of these guys. I've worked with them. I mean, I spent 5 years with Frank Bush. I spent 5 years with Denard Wilson. I hired, Tyke Tolbert into the league as a receiver coach.
Yeah.
He worked for me. He worked for me. And I've worked with Tracy Rocker. I've worked 5 years with Rand Carthon. I saw Bill Callahan the other day. The father in there, and we hugged it up because I've competed against him. So, yeah, I mean, the thing that I really enjoy about working with the Titans and the access that they give me, just they respect what I've done.
Right.
They respect what I've done. So if they ever would ask, I would offer just as much as in depth as they would want.
Seems like everybody nationally is convinced that the Titans are going to take an offensive tackle at 7, but the head coach yesterday threw some interesting things out there, and he was asked about the situation in Cincinnati that we've all talked about with Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell sitting there, and they in desperate need of offensive linemen. They chose Jamar Chase, and he said, we looked at it. He said, you need to protect the quarterback so you can throw, but we looked at it differently. If you can win on the outside, you can win. The more talented receivers you have, the better chance you have to score points. And he also said he leans toward players that can score touchdowns. I thought that was an interesting way to combat maybe the offensive line question, in that, like, if you do have that quarterback with the arm talent and you have the skill on the outside to beat those one-on-one matchups and pressure situations, you can attack defenses that way.
Brent, don't you think that Brian Callahan, even as a young head coach, that was a really, really smart thing to say at a podium? Because
of course, because they're wide receivers.
Guess what?
Trade back.
And KB, now people are going, oh, wow, well, maybe. See, look, this time of year, and my stance on mock drafts, it's fantasy. It's fantasy world. But the more doubt that you can put into people's minds right now as to what you're really thinking inside the walls, the better off you are. That was a vet move. That's all I'll say.
Right, because you combine that with what Rand Carthon said, saying we're not really getting a lot of nosy calls about number 7. So you combine those two things, and there will be a bunch of wide receivers sitting at 7, and then maybe you can move back, get the guy you want, acquire some draft capital, and move on.
Well, look, first of all, you don't want to be sitting at 7, right? Just because that means that you haven't done very well, correct?
Didn't you get Thomas Jones with 7, Coach? Who'd you get? That was actually 6.
That was 6. Now, if you're, but hey, believe me, you said Thomas Jones, right, KB?
Yes, sir.
You know who else was in that draft, don't you? I know all these drafts.
Yeah, for sure.
I was sitting there as the defensive coordinator. Brian Urlacher was in that draft, too.
Yeah.
Who do you think I was pounding the table for?
Yeah, he's an Arizona guy. He went to school there. Somewhere in northern Arizona, something. And that was crazy.
And so, anyway, he was in New Mexico, actually.
Right.
But
somewhere down there.
I'm glad you pounded the table for a Hall of Famer.
He
obviously, they didn't listen to Mack when he was there.
Well, I mean, they started to, as it started to wear on. When I pounded the table for Anquan Bolden, they figured out, and Kyle Vandenbosch, that this guy might know what he's talking about. But anyway, yeah. I mean, to me, right now, you listen to the mock drafts, and I mean, it's a cottage industry now, and I respect everything they do. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but guys, just between the three of us and everybody that's listening, which I love our listeners. If somebody has not ever made a pick with their mortgage dependent on it, I don't put a lot of stock into it.
Yeah, Callahan yesterday said to Buck, he was on Buck Rising show, and he said, yeah, everybody's been nice around town, but I haven't called to play yet. So,
and there you go. I mean, when you're evaluating, and I just did this today on one of the podcasts. I said, look, I'm not evaluating now to make a pick. I made picks for 31 years. I'm not doing that anymore, but I am evaluating in context of what the league is, and in context, I'm going to evaluate everybody because it helps me as a broadcaster. I know who these dudes are, when they go to various teams, and especially when they come to the Titans. So your perspective changes as what you're doing changes. But guys, it's still about, and don't ever get it twisted. It's still about the dudes. I wouldn't have had, the great career that I've had in coaching if I didn't have dudes, counting the guy that's sitting there right now next to you, Brent. I'm telling you, it helps.
Yeah, Chiefs coach Andy Reid asked about his success as a coach. He said today, get a good quarterback.
It's a fact. He's only had good quarterbacks.
Love it, Coach. Thank you, man. Have fun.
Enjoy, Mac.
Tell everybody hello.
Y'all are the best. See you guys. Thanks.
All right, there you go, Coach Mack. Titans Radio all over it, so check out their coverage. And, of course, Ramon, Kayla, and Will in the morning and all day long on 104.5 The Zone. 2 players have been given permission to seek a trade. Any Titans interest there? We'll ask you when we come back. 615-737-1045.
What's happening, folks? It's amazing what communication does. It's key to how people operate and provide top-notch service and deliver the best completed projects. Who would I be referring to? Milliken Corp, that's who. Experts in concrete, asphalt, grading, and drainage services every single time, every single part of the year. Does not matter. Cold, hot, slow, warm. It doesn't matter, people. They get the job done. Driveways, sidewalks, patios. Don't be sitting at home wondering and wishing, man, I would love to get my patio started and get people out there and get this barbecue going and have everybody out there on this nice stamped decorative concrete. Don't be the one sitting back watching this go down. Give them a call at 615-238-5909. When you love being associated with people that get the job done, you will love Milliken Corp. They do not bring their standards down. If it's not done to their standard, they tear it down, do it again. And I guarantee you'll love it. 615-238-5909. Not your fault if you choose the wrong asphalt. MillikenCorp.com.
All right, spring right around the corner, and maybe you want to get a jump on spring cleaning, and maybe you want to transfer your home into an oasis of calm. You need to do it with my friends at Artisan Custom Closets. Maybe you're thinking, okay, you said closets, Dawn. Yeah, but they do everything. Yes, they can make that show-stopping closet that you see in all the celebrities' houses. They can do that for you, but they can also help you organize everything from your garage to your pantry, your laundry room, mud room. Maybe you have a playroom. They can put storage solutions that look great and are functional and organize any space in your home. Artisan Custom Closets, they're local. And their products all made and manufactured right here in the USA, in the Southeast, as a matter of fact. Here's what you do. Go visit them online, Artisan, Artisan, customclosets.com. Get a free in-house design consultation and then take advantage of their multiple financing options to make getting organized easier than ever. They did my garage and it's phenomenal. ArtisanCustomClosets.com. Say goodbye to clutter and hello to calm. 615-800-2199. Tell them Dawn sent you at ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brett Doherty, Keith Bullock with you today.
Yes, sir.
Tennessee playing number 4, Tennessee hosting number 11, Auburn tonight. 6.5 the point spread. Tennessee favored by 6.5. 6 o'clock. Catch it right here on 104.5 The Zone. Tennessee 13-1 at home this year. Auburn 2-3 in its last 5 road games. So it could go either way.
It could go either. I like Tennessee at home.
Slay likes Tennessee and like big.
Big? I see that would be something for Slay to do. I wouldn't know the spread. You know what I'm saying? I just know that Tennessee, they're playing good football, good basketball after that last loss.
Yeah.
Even before that last loss, they've been playing good basketball, and I just see them rebounding coming off of that. That's all I'm saying.
Pun fully intended. Chiefs have given cornerback L'Jarius Sneed permission to seek a trade. Titans in desperate need of cornerback help, as Sean Murphy Bunting will be an unrestricted free agent. I'm guessing the Titans will not franchise tag him.
He's not. They shouldn't franchise tag him. I don't feel like he earned it.
Did you call him a jag?
Oh man, I was going there.
Guy?
I was going there, but I don't feel like he deserves that tag either. You know what I mean?
He's a little bit better than that, but yeah, I mean, they're not going to bring him back.
Nah, not for and like I just feel, to be honest, like when I think about it, was a lot of patchwork last year. Let's see what works. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of that. Not much pressure either.
Yeah. Let's see what works. Well, if we're just keeping it all the way funky, like I don't feel like the cornerbacks really played with a lot of confidence when it came to, like, even, I can sit here and think in my head 3rd and 10, and then 3rd and 3. I mean, in the corner is like 10 yards off the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not much, you got to challenge. That's what the NFL is all about, challenging and competing. And, you put it on the line. You got to have the utmost confidence in yourself to win the one-on-one matchups. And look, corner is one of the hardest positions when it comes down to that. But that's what it's all about, to go out there and dominate your matchup.
It's funny, like I say not much pressure. I guess like that's just what it felt like in terms of consistent pressure. Having said that, though, Titans the only team in the NFL with 2 double-digit sack guys, which is funny. And Danico Autry is an interesting case, right? Because like he's going to be 34 years old, but he's coming off a career year. As an unrestricted free agent, I don't know how teams are going to evaluate those two things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if I'm Danico, I'm going to do what's best for me. And maybe what's best for me at 34 with a couple years left is to see what I could get here. They might break me off with a nice little signing bonus. Go buy my nice little house in Franklin or wherever I want to live, and get ready to ride off into the sunset. You know what I mean? Because realistically, 2 more years, 34, 35, 36, that's a hell of a run.
Jets have given quarterback Zach Wilson permission to seek a trade. It's interesting because the Titans are going to bring in a quarterback to compete with Malik Willis for the backup job, right? Yeah. Like, I think we all know that. My guess is it's probably going to be like a veteran guy that they end up signing who will be the backup, but I don't know. That is kind of an interesting situation, though.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson stinks, so he shouldn't come here. No. He got drafted high, and that's a lot of bad evaluation. I feel like there were some guys on the Jets staff during this week of Combine Week. They spent a little bit too much time at the bar at St. Elmo's instead of evaluating talent. And then it's also disappointing, Zach Wilson, too, because he spent the whole offseason behind Aaron Rodgers. You would think that he's, soaking things up, taking it in, learning how to become a professional. He didn't have much of that his first year, but his second year, he's getting that. He's getting these opportunities. And Aaron seemed as if he was being that guy for the Jets. Yep. You know what I mean? And then for him to get in to seem as if he was never at camp or never even knew what was going on. It's kind of depressing, and it kind of, put him in a bad light. But I just know that any quarterback that was drafted in the first round is going to float around the NFL for at least 10 years. So,
isn't that crazy?
Like 10. How many years did Blake Bortles get?
Right. And I think part of that, too, is like I think there are a lot of egos in the NFL. Like, I can get something out of this guy.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
If you stink, you stink. Like, you get enough times to show that how good you are. Like here, Baker Mayfield's a prime example. He's been bounced around. But look, he took the Bucs to the playoffs and played good football. He showed that he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, where there are a lot of guys that we have come to find that, early in their career, they're not a starter in this league, and Baker is still making a strong case for himself.
Yeah, older he gets, the more I like him.
He just shuts up and plays.
Yeah, he still has those little fits out there, but every once in a while.
He's a
competitor.
Yes,
competitor.
That's exactly where I was going.
I wanted to hit you with these before the break and maybe get your take on it, because I think this is how the league values positions.
Yeah.
Okay? So the 11th lowest, we'll go ahead and say the lowest franchise tag value is kicker, punter, $5.9 million. All right, so the next 10 positions. All right, number 1, quarterback. Right. We all know that. Number 2, linebacker. $24 million is the franchise tag at linebacker.
For 1 year?
1 year.
Oh, wow.
Get your little house in Franklin.
Get your little something.
Number 3 is defensive tackle. Number 4 at 22.1. Number 4 is wide receiver. I would have thought maybe wide receiver might be 2, and they probably will be at some, like the next, like the Jefferson contract that's going to come.
I'm just curious why. But I'll let you finish, and I'll go ahead.
All right, wide receiver 4, 21.8. Number 5, defensive end, 21.3. Number 6, I guess with linebacker 2, you're counting rush ins.
They have to be factoring that in, because I would think it's the pass rushers that should be higher than linebacker.
Yep. Number 6, offensive lineman. Number 7, cornerback. Number 8, safety. Number 9, tight end. And number 10, running back. Running back is $11.9 million for a franchise tag.
Man, they're doing them running backs dirty.
Isn't that interesting to look how the league has kind of gone from back in the day where the running back was kind of the focal point?
Well, I think, it's an interesting situation. Like you said, the running back used to be the focal point. Now it's a little more spread out. I just think these running backs have to be a little more creative and get in the systems where they can show their pass catching ability and their value as a runner. I think.
So that's the message to like the younger guys coming
absolutely.
up. Make sure you can do that.
Kamara was great at that.
Yep. Spears is good at that.
Yeah, if you could show that, look, you can line up like a wide receiver and run the route tree, as well as line up in the backfield and take a straight handoff and run between the tackles, you're making yourself some money, because they can't deny you. It just comes down to a stupid coordinator who doesn't utilize your talents if you're able to do that. And I feel like you said, Tajay Spears seems as if he can do that, although it's never been featured. I don't understand why they never really had Derrick Henry and him in there at the same time for a couple of series. You know what I'm saying? You got to make the defense think about things, because if you have both those guys in, okay, you give the ball to Derrick on first down like you always do, run him up the tackle, and then you got him in I formation. Then you have Tajay go out in motion. Now he's lined up in the slot, and he's man-to-man versus a bigger safety. Or it's not going to be a safety in the game if you got Derrick Henry. And, so I just think there's a lot of creativity that you can do with dual threat running backs, but it comes down to the offense coordinator.
It does. When we come back, based on comments made by Titans coach Brian Callahan at the Combine yesterday, could the team be targeting a wide receiver with pick number 7, or is it a smokescreen? We'll talk about it next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
What is happening, good people? Listen, you feeling a little tired, a little grumpy? They said, hey, man, Slay look a little tired. Well, if that's the case, I need to scurry on over to Low T Center, because they will get everything back in order. When they testing vitals, you can go do the exact same thing, get your T-levels tested, only for $25 right there at Low T Center. Results back in about 25 minutes. Make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Reinventing men's healthcare.
You know what else is simple? If you need new windows and doors, simple. just call Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. That's exactly what I did. I needed new windows in my rental property. I needed new windows in my house. And so I went through all of these different companies to figure out where I wanted to give my business to, who I trusted the most, and I picked Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. If you're like me, maybe you go and Google companies and see what people say about them and look at their reviews on Google. Well, guess what? Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville has a 4.9 rating on Google reviews, and a ton of people love Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Here's the deal. First of all, Pella has been around, I don't know, it's going to be 100 years next year, I think. So you know that their product is quality. They also back everything up with warranty, a 10-year labor warranty, which is leading in the industry. And they have a deal going on for you right now. 50% off qualifying installations, no money down, no interest, no payments for 12 months. Go check them out. Schedule your free consultation, PellaNashville.com.
Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Hung. The 2024 SEC Men's Legends were just announced a little while ago. These are going to be recognized during the first game of each school's tournament round, which means for Tennessee, when they play during halftime of that one, Chris Lofton, VFL, will be recognized at the half. The NFLPA just released their report cards that they came out with after surveying over 1,700 players. And the Titans, the strongest and highest rankings came for former head coach Mike Vrabel, as well as owner Amy Adams Strunk. The lowest ratings for the players came from their travel accommodations and the fact that they are disappointed that the team changed from a grass surface to an artificial one. And tonight, 6 o'clock, immediately following 3HL, number 11 Auburn, number 4 Tennessee. You can watch on ESPN2 or you can hear it right here. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols. The flagship station for your Tennessee Titans, as well as home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Yo, what up, 3HL? On the air, 104.5 The Zone. Britt Doherty with you. Ron Slay and Dawn Davenport on assignment. They'll be back tomorrow. Keith Bullock.
I got it.
Mr. Monday Night filling in. You were talking about...
I'm a fierce savage today.
Yeah, fierce savage.
I'll just leave it at that.
Leave it
I have
at
to
that.
think about it. You know what I mean? Fierce.
She is fierce. So when she got the job here, I was talking with Corey Curtis. Dawn Davenport worked at News 2 before she came here, for those that don't know. And she did sports over there with Corey Curtis, who is still there. She did morning news, like straight up news.
I remember that.
Like,
I would catch her when I'm getting ready to go, whatever I'm doing.
Death and mayhem in Nashville. Like, she would do that stuff. And then if it bleeds, it leads. That's what they used to say. Probably still do. So Corey Curtis goes, how are things going with the angry Chihuahua? And I was like, I haven't seen that side of her yet. And so it was pretty early on. So I told her that he said that, and she was like, yeah, that's what he calls me.
You know what, though? It's so funny.
You lauged at that like it's true. Like there's some truth to it.
It's a great analogy. It's funny.
It's pretty good.
Look, any woman that can, that carries her own camera, holds her own mic, comes into an NFL locker room and gets the best sound bites, she's not putting up with much.
No.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, you respect it, especially when the camera is half her size.
Well, and her ability to do sidelines, play-by-play, sports on television, news on television, and then transition into radio, because this is so much different, because we're talking off the top of our heads most of the time.
It's probably more relaxed for her.
Yeah. And you have the opportunity to expound on things. Whereas, in TV, you get like 2 minutes, everything's scripted and written, and, you move from there. But yeah, it's just a multi-talented person for sure. So you're filling in for, you're filling
what do we have to say about
big
Slay?
shoes.
What about
Slay has big shoes.
Yeah, Slay's going to be on TV tonight. Hopefully, I know the Vols are going to get it done.
Here's what I'll say about Slay. Slay is one of the funniest people I've ever met. And he's one of the quickest thinkers I've ever met. So, I can come with some crazy story and throw it at him, having not told him about it, and he comes with the most outrageous take on it that I didn't see coming. You know what I mean?
Hey, you gotta be quick, man. Growing up the way you gotta be quick. You gotta, think on your feet. Sometimes you gotta get the heat off you. People going snapping on you. So I got a mustache now, right?
I know.
I've never had a mustache.
How long have you been rolling with this deal?
Since November, because what happened, it's no
Zach
shave.
on YouTube says, KB stash game is strong.
Appreciate it. It's been in the works. But I went, I no shave November, so I shaved my beard, and then my mustache was still left. So I just left it, and I come out of the bathroom, and my daughter, my youngest, is like, "Hey, you look like the Black Luigi." Mario and Luigi. So I just kept
People don't know what that is anymore.
Yeah, I know.
The Black Luigi.
Super Mario Brothers. So I just kept it, and I've just been running with it. But I was...
Dude, you put the glasses on and the mustache. You look like some kind of Renaissance thinker, man.
I was catching hell for it in Vegas
Like a
at the
poet or
Super Bowl.
something.
Somebody told me, that's why I was saying you got to be quick on your feet.
Yeah.
And I was on a roll. I was cracking jokes on everybody. It's like a big locker room. You haven't seen people in years. And I guess I was just on Kevin Vickerson a little bit too much. He turns to me, he's like, "Man, shut up before I rip that damn mustache off your top lip." I was like, And then everybody just started piling in. There's like, I'm representing for Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed.
They call me the Pringles man before the commercial.
See, I think
They're trying to
before the
break me.
commercial.
They were trying to break me.
They were trying to break you?
Wasn't happening.
I could see you like, like I've never experienced this, but I've seen it on television. Like the coffee house, like poet guy.
Yeah. I don't have the twirl. I can't
You've
twirl
got the coffee house.
I can't twirl.
You could do poetry night over there.
Yeah, we'll see.
You were saying earlier about like you weren't asked to rush the quarterback as an outside linebacker
Right.
In the 4-3 very much. But you have a ton of interceptions. Like so you studied tape. You know where quarterbacks were going. And you were saying like the smart guys were tougher because they knew what you were doing and things like that. Although you did get Drew Brees 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I always say, like, Drew Brees was a smart guy, but I just honestly feel that
he was kind of robotic, though, like in the system. Like, I'm throwing this ball here.
Yeah, that, and, it's one of those things. My guys are better than yours. You know what I'm saying? So, their system was pretty easy from a standpoint of the position that I was playing. He really technically only had a one-way go. So I would always open up the opposite way that I was going, just because that's what a quarterback thinks. Oh, he's supposed to do that.
And I mean, to be fair, most guys aren't athletic enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, that and playing defensive back kind of definitely helped me because dropping in my zones, I know how to head turn. I played safety for 3 years in college, 2 years in college, so that definitely helped me. And I found out when I got to the NFL that was one of the best things Syracuse could have did for me was move me from safety to linebacker. So I appreciate
a lot of years in the league. 615-737-1045, two-time All-Pro Titan linebacker Keith Bullock with us. Catch him on Instagram, Keith Bullock53, and on Twitter, @KBull53. I still call it Twitter.
I do too.
I'm not down with the X thing.
Yeah, it is what it is. Everybody knows what it is. It's Twitter.
I'm curious to get your take. Coach Mack said things are said for a reason this time of year. Like everybody's got the Titans taking a left tackle because of the need on the offensive line, obviously at 7. But Coach Brian Callahan made some interesting comments about wide receivers. And he said, he prefers guys that can score touchdowns. And he said, if you can win on the outside, you can win. And he said a bunch of things. This is some of what he said about wide receiver. Got people thinking maybe they go wide receiver at 7. Check it.
One of the things I've always said when asked about this debate is I had landed at some point in my career, usually in Denver is usually what I liken back to when we had Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, Julius Thomas, and Emmanuel Sanders. Obviously, we had a great quarterback that was at the end of his career. But those guys in one-on-one situations could win when you needed them to win. In a tight moment at the end of a game, all those things. And so that's always resonated with me. And when we had a chance to pick a player like Jamar, I always just thought back to what that offense looked like. And that was sort of the vision of what we were trying to look like in Cincinnati with an elite quarterback, elite processor, to find guys that could go win and separate. And the debate was always, well, you got to protect the quarterback, obviously, or you can't throw the ball. And we didn't necessarily believe that. We felt like if you got great players on the perimeter, they can go win versus press coverage. And all the teams that are trying to condense everything and rush the passer, if you can win quick, you can throw quick. So that was our philosophy in that moment. Obviously, Jamar Chase coming out, premier player. There was no doubt that he was going to be an all-pro player. There was no doubt that Penei Sewell was going to be an all-pro style tackle. There was no question on either one of those players, their talent level and how they would fit in the NFL. I think that's unique. I don't know that you're ever going to get in a spot where both of those guys
different year
are that caliber of player where there's going to be one that's going to be better than the other, and that sort of makes a decision for you at the end of the day. But I've always felt like today's offenses, I think you still have to protect the quarterback, but to score points, you got to have guys that can score points. And I've always felt that. I've always believed that. That doesn't mean that we're just going to automatically take a receiver.
You're giving people chest tightness.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. I don't mean to say that. I'm just philosophically, I've always felt like the more talented receivers you have, the better chance you have to score points. But that being said, we are in year 1 here versus year 3. We were in Cincinnati. We had a young Joe Burrow already played a year, and we were trying to give him as many weapons as we could. So I think the situations, while the position comparison is similar, I think the situations ultimately are pretty different.
Listen, I know things are said for a reason by all these guys, and certainly they wanted that out there just in case somebody wants to nibble at 7 who needs a wide receiver. But I full-heartedly believe everything that he says that he believes that.
Yeah, no, just listening to what I just heard that for the first time, and everything he says, it correlates and it makes sense. It's like, yeah, you got to protect the quarterback, but if you got somebody on the outside that's elite, and what also sticks out is he's been around and been in a system where they can identify surefire talent, Sewell and Jamar Chase. He was like, there's no doubt that Jamar Chase was an all-pro wide receiver.
And both of those guys are those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I like about that is if there's someone sitting at 7 and they take that, I like to pick if they use that pick at 7 just because of what he just said. Like, he's been a part of a crew that is eyeballed, like, sure, bona fide first-round talent. And I like what he says about that is, look, man, if we do get that guy, because he did clear it up, he's like, look, Jamar Chase is like, that's an exception. But if they do get that guy, I think the game plan is, look, if you can give us two seconds, we're throwing it to that guy. Like, he's not afraid to go to that guy. And
1, 2, 3, throw.
And what it says also is I'm not putting words in coach's mouth, but if that guy was here, he would have said it. So that means Treylon Burks is not that guy. So, like I said, no one said it, but I'm sitting here reading between the lines. I'm the voice of the people. People ask me that in the streets all the time. They ask me all these different questions. So when I get to come up here and sit with the mayor, I gotta, get those things out for the people of the city.
I'll tell you what Rand Carthon said about Treylon Burks when we come back, and I'm glad you brought that up. We'll talk about that next and talk more about that pick number 7. Are you good with wide receiver, or are you still solidly at left tackle? We'd love to hear from you. 615-737-1045. Brent Doherty, Keith Bullock with you, 3HL 1045 The Zone. Go up to Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. That's where you need to go to get that next new vehicle. Maybe been thinking about it for a while and haven't been able to get out there and start that process. If that's the case, certainly start with my friends at Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, because you'll finish with them. You'll buy with them. They're awesome people. They're going to treat you the right way. They simply want to know what you're looking for, man. What's the reason that you need that next vehicle? Maybe you need something more reliable. Maybe you need something with less of a payment. Maybe you need something more gas efficient. Just let them know, and they will point you in the right direction. They'll get you in the vehicle that's right for you and your family, and you'll take your test drive. You'll get inside. They'll help make the numbers work, and it'll be that easy. Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, 3450 Tom Austin Highway in beautiful Springfield, Tennessee, just 30 minutes from downtown Nashville. You can check them out online. GuptonMotors.com is the website. All of the dealership information is there. All of the inventory is there as well. That's Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. So if you are involved in that process right now, make sure you include Gupton in that process, and you'll be glad that you did. Best vehicle buying experience you will have ever had. That's Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
What's happening, folks? Ron Slade right here coming with you. I'm telling you about Generator Dave and what he means to Cove Generators. He is the expert on everything generators. Talking about a family-owned, which means you are dealing with someone who cares. Technician, which is your project manager, stays on site with you the entire time, making sure that things get done right. And guess what? That's your partner for life right there. Not just a salesman, but always rocking with you. Cove Generators, home Generac home standby generator dealer. You need to call them today and be prepared for any time power goes out. You can be sound and know that your home is protected whenever you roll with Cove Generators. Call Cove Generators to perform maintenance on your Generac automatic standby generator, even if you didn't purchase it with them. So you got another brand? Cool. Still got you. Go make sure of it. Visit CoveGenerators.com and never lose power again. All you got to do is hit them up today at 931-559-3311. That's 931-559-3311, CoveGenerators.com. Stay connected through it all.
3HL 1045 The Zone. USC quarterback Caleb Williams. By the way, Brent Doherty, Keith Bullock in the house today.
Yes, sir. Representing.
USC quarterback Caleb Williams arrived in Indianapolis today. He's not going to work out, but he is still going to set up meetings with teams and meet with teams. The Bears, the Commanders, the Patriots, the Raiders, the Falcons, the Jets, which is interesting when Aaron Rodgers is back, the Giants, and the Vikings. Those are the teams he's going to meet with. There have been stories out there about Caleb Williams not wanting to play in Chicago, that he wants to play in Washington. He's a high school stud in Washington, D.C. And he said this to ESPN, quote, "If I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited. If they trade the pick and I get drafted by someone else, I'll be just as excited." Smart thing to say. Because you end up in Chicago, the last thing you want out there is that you didn't want to be there.
Yeah, and to be real, man, a lot of these organizations need to get their stuff together because, from the adult standpoint, just the outside, the media, all that, these guys go there, oh, he stinks. And they don't look at the GM, the head coach, the quarterback coach, the offensive line coach, all these different things that matter. And, these young kids, Trey Lance, right?
Yeah.
We haven't really seen him yet. And maybe from the times that he's been out there, it wasn't the most favorable times. But then you fast forward to Geno Smith. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
so it's
that's a good one.
These guys got to be put in the right situation and to be able to have success. And then, we were talking about it offline. Even last year with the Titans offensive line, you talk about the players. This player's not this player's not that. Well, I'll tell you what, when I heard the offensive line coach speak in an interview towards the end of the year, he wasn't too impressive and didn't come off as knowledgeable for someone that has an in-depth football knowledge. Yeah, I got a PhD in this, baby. You know what I'm saying? And he just wasn't saying, I think it was either Jim Wyatt, Kaharski, or Teresa, one of the vets asked him a, very simple question, and he was too wordy with his description of something where he could have kind of summed it up real quick, real fast. So I look forward to seeing how this offensive line progresses. I look forward to seeing what pieces they add to it, because at the end of the day, we know Will Levis can take a hit. We know he's tough. We know he'll sit in the pocket. The one time I did get to meet him, I was like, look, bro, only thing I got to say, I just need you to stop running. You know what I mean? I need you to protect yourself because, somebody's going to come across your head and try and hurt you on purpose, and that's like the game, as Coach says.
Especially now that he's put on tape where he's leveled
and he's trying
corners.
to run people over. Yeah, I'm trying to F you up. I'm trying to get you out there as a defensive player. So he just needs him to be a little bit smarter. But I definitely feel that in the right situation, I look forward to see how this meshes with Callahan, who's brought along a young quarterback who's worked with an older Peyton Manning, where I'm sure he wasn't telling Peyton much what to do, but Peyton was giving him, some point. Oh, this is what I did, early in my career, and so on and so forth. So that being said, I think that whoever the Titans get, this coaching staff is gonna, do their best job to make all these pieces work together.
We're gonna have to see how all that plays itself out.
For sure.
That's what's exciting about starting over, honestly. Levis is yoked up too, man.
Yeah, and then it's the philosophy, right? So Will, he came in last year. Tannehill was a starter. He was behind two people, regardless where he got drafted, and he kind of seemed as if he, waited in the wing to do his thing. He got the opportunity to do his thing. He still was supportive of Malik. He's still a team player, all of those things. So now you come into the season, as a leader, as the guy. You don't have to look over your shoulder. I remember my first year coming in as a starter, and we still had guys, that were here. So I didn't have to be the leader. But at the same time, I remember my mentality that offseason, even right now, knowing, okay, I'm going to be the starter. I remember that April OTAs. I remember that June. I remember all of those things because, I wanted to prove that, okay, I can start in this league. I had made some plays already, but it's different when you become a starter. So now the tape is out on Will Levis. So his offseason is going to have to be A1, and I'm just, looking forward to see how he approaches it.
He seems to be that guy, too. Like, he's ultra competitive. And how impressive was it to you that you mentioned he came from beyond Malik even, but that he handled that stage? To me, like, that's the baseline, whether he does well or not. And I thought he played really well as given rookie, bad offensive line, but also it just mentally it seemed like body language-wise he handled that stage.
Yeah, and he did, but that's why year 2 is so much more important.
Yes.
Like, how do you come back into it? Because no one expects
You're not a rookie
anything
anymore.
Yeah, we don't have any expectations of you. Going in, we don't know what to expect. Right. You're with a clean sheet of paper,
you do.
Right? So now we've seen some things. Now there are expectations. Especially if the front office is doing everything that they possibly can to get the pieces around you to play. And now we're going into a different era of football here in Tennessee. We're dealing with analytics, which, I don't know nothing about, but, we'll see how that works. So it's all interesting.
615-737-1045. I was going to throw this in there real quick because I want to get your take on this about seeing what winning football looks like. McCole Hardman on what went wrong with the Jets. Remember, he got traded from the Jets to the Chiefs. And it's interesting. He said, y'all can't tell me about winning. I've been to four Super Bowls in 5 years. I know what winning looks like. I know what winning is. Y'all not doing it right. Talking about the Jets, McCole Hardman.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I know what winning is. Y'all not doing it right. We got helmets on the ground. We don't got no discipline. It's too many individual egos in this locker room. That's not going to get y'all to win.
It's a fact.
Can you tell when you're in the locker room, like, early on, like, man, this locker room's got it, or this locker, like, this is going to be a struggle?
Yeah, man. I've definitely had seasons where, like, so
you've had tough seasons and great seasons.
Take like 04, 05, like there's no leadership, and I wasn't there at that. But it was only my second, third years. I was not there to be a leader. I'm there to make plays, put myself in the best position to get paid, however that works. And of course, you want to win, but with that attitude and
but
winning,
a do your job mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
With that attitude and not winning coming, now you got to morph to something else. Now, okay, you're looking around. There's no Eddie. There's no Steve. There's no Brad Hopkins. There's no Kevin Carter. There are no leaders. You know what I'm saying? So now, I had to become a leader. And, with that being becoming a leader, you have to get rid of some of those things that you heard McCole Hardman, speaking about. I had to go back into my memory bank when I got here as a rookie, when we had, 15-year vets, when we had 12-year vets, 11-year vets, you know what I mean? And I had to be, as Kyle Vanderbosch tagged me, Captain A-hole, because, look, I want to win at this point. It's, I'm all pro. I got paid millions. You check off all these boxes. Now it's like, okay, I got here. Was on a Super Bowl caliber team. You look around, nobody is really caring. We run things through the locker room. So, this is how it's going to be. And in order to do that as a player, you have to have your stuff on point as well. So it's not an easy task. And, to just kind of sum up what McCole Hardman was saying and to answer your question, yeah, you can tell when guys aren't focused, guys are into their cars or their jewelry or their money or, their girls or everything else that comes with being in the NFL besides the actual game. And, those locker rooms suck because there are a lot of guys in those locker rooms that really want to win and, play the game for everything that it's supposed to be played for.
It's funny. The Preds coach, a couple weeks ago, I guess, they had lost 5 out of 6, had fallen out of playoff contention, and lost a game 9-2. And in his post-game press conference, he said, our guys need to focus on what's important, and that's hockey, not their vacations.
Yeah, man.
You know what happened since then? They've won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
And now they're back in the playoff contention.
Well, look, man, sometimes you got to, at the professional level for sure, it's all right to call people out. Like, because at the end of the day, if things don't go right, everybody's going to lose their job. So, especially if it's somebody that you need, that's what they're there for. They are on the team to provide a piece that's supposed to help you win. And if they're just trying to hurry up, get out of the locker room, go to the bar or do whatever it is that is outside of football, that's not conducive for a winning environment at all.
615-737-1045 if you want in. Kenny the mailman next up on 3HL. Kenny, what's up?
Well, how are you doing, dear friend?
Hey, we're good, man. How are you?
It's good to hear. I have got a present for you and a present for Nashville. Are you ready?
All right.
Mr. Monday Night, you keep me company on Saturdays when I'm work because I love to listen to your podcast. You told one of the funniest stories ever on Coach Mack. One time you were going into film study, and he was so concerned how you felt, and he wanted to make sure you wasn't sick. I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to blow it. I'll let you tell the story. But I asked Coach Mack, and he said, hey, I've told everybody that, buddy. I've told everybody that. And it is one of my favorite stories. I want to hear it, and it's so good to talk to y'all. Goodbye.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, that's a good story.
What's the name of the podcast?
What's good with KB and JB? Me and John Burton. We do.
Awesome! Yeah,
we do a
good
podcast together. I think we're on like episode 30. So the conversation, what the mailman is talking about. You guys remember there was a game we played. It was I think it was 2007 to that Jacksonville game. Maurice Jones-Drew ran for like 180 and Chris Johnson ran for like 200. Like it was just a back and forth game. Titans won. But coming into that film room the next day on Monday to watch the film, Coach Mack was like, KB, were you sick yesterday? I'm like, nah, Coach, I'm good, man. What's up? He's like, all right, well, you might feel a little sick after you watch this film. And, I'm in year 8 or year 9 at the time. And like, that's one of the things I always say about, accountability.
Accountability.
You know
that's
what I mean?
Word
that's
I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, like, I always respect and love Coach Mack as my position coach, because there was a point where you can only teach a player so much. And I was definitely at that level, but the accountability and responsibility that he has to the team. And I remember that game. We were coming off a bye, and we were really good. And, I just kind of, toned it down. I guess I toned it down a little bit, because if I watched the game, there are plays I would be making, but I'm thinking, oh, Kyle's going to get that, or C-Hope's going to get that, or Thornton's going to get that. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was who I was because of the way that I played. So, like, you can't, like, think somebody else is going to do it. No, everybody has to do their job. And, that's kind of like the lesson within the lesson that Coach Mack was like, yo, nah, you can't have that. You know what I'm saying?
It's a good way to say it, too. And I mean, pros that are, like, at your level want that.
Yeah.
Like, call me out. Like,
for sure.
Remind me.
For sure, because it was like, look, man.
You got to be coachable, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
to be the best you can be.
Absolutely. And then, like, I had never necessarily experienced anything like that. We're 7-0 or whatever. We're playing Jacksonville. They stink. We got a bunch of dudes on defense. Like, we're going to beat these guys. Like, and, yeah, we won. We also gave up 180 yards rushing, which is uncustomary. And then, when you look at the film and, you're one of the leaders and you're one of the cause of that, a big chunk of that 180, you got to check yourself. So that's the story. That's the detail of that story.
Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew was awesome. He's such a good dude too, but like for the people that don't know him, like he's short. So like, I don't know how y'all saw him behind the line and then boom, he's out.
So yeah, well, that's so funny. So he would give problems, 6'3", I'm up here, so I'm always, you're right, he'll pop up and then he's in your chest and it's like, oh, you got to hold on to it.
Because he's like 5'9",
the head hog, and
yeah, but
like
he's like a
back.
boulder, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Stephen Tulloch Stephen Tulloch had his number. Stephen Tulloch used to put some hits on Maurice Jones-Drew because they're the same size, and like Maurice Jones-Drew, he doesn't necessarily lower his shoulder. He just kind of bends his neck and just kind of braces for the hit. And Tully used to bring it to him in the hole. I got a couple good hits on him. And the thing about that, and that's why I say when you have dual threat running backs, offenses, right? So they had Fred Taylor, who was in year 10, still playing good football, and Maurice Jones-Drew. So you knock Maurice Jones-Drew out the game, here comes Fred Taylor. And it's like, man, you still got, little bright spots in your head and stuff. You trying to call the play, here comes Fred Taylor, fresh.
Linda in the Borough next up on 3HL. Brent Doherty, Keith Bullock in the house today. Linda, what's up?
Hi, Keith.
What's up, Linda?
I just want to tell you one thing. You are the kindest human, one of the kindest Titans I ever had a chance to meet. I don't know if you remember Bob Hyde.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Oh, Bob.
It's my guy.
Rest in peace.
Word.
Wait, Linda. He was your brother-in-law? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Yep,
oh, wow.
From Tullahoma, Tennessee.
Yes, sir. And way back in the beginning, we were able, when he would give us tickets, we were able to park in the players' parking lot until some idiot woman messed it up for us. But anyway, it was after a game, and my daughter and I, we stayed to eat our snack or whatever to wait till the traffic down. And Keith, you were standing in the mud at the fence signing autographs for, I know, over an hour after everybody had cleared out of that parking lot. And I kept telling my daughter, I said, bless his heart, how long is he going to do that? and we were still there because driving back to Murfreesboro, I didn't want to mess with that traffic.
I feel you.
And you were the sweetest man signing all those kids' autographs, standing in the mud. And I have just been wanting to tell you that for years, so I'm glad I finally had a chance.
Well,
Thank you, Keith.
I appreciate
so
that.
Kind.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate you bringing up Bob Hyde, too. Worked for the Titans, worked for the Oilers.
Yeah.
Worked for the organization for a long, long time. He went to high school with my mom in Tullahoma.
Wow. Yeah, he was he was there when I found out I was getting inducted to the Sports Hall of Fame here in Tennessee, so that was cool. Yeah, Bob was always great for our community, especially with the Titans. He always stayed and kept the players involved. He always supported us. But yeah, like those autograph sign, like you come out after the game, win, lose, draw, and look, like even now, like I'm not getting those moments to come out of the tunnel and then there'll be like 100 people. Hey, keep Bullock. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like an autograph signing. So like, those times as players, man, I always just, I'm sure I just appreciated the fans, because there was
appreciate that someone cares enough about you. You know what I mean?
There was a point in time, like when I was just trying to get on the field, and I remember like it was like my second year, and I'm still friends with these dudes to this day, and like I think I was just like at one of the local, watering holes in 2001, and then one of the dudes like, hey, Keith Bullock, man, you're a hell of a player. They should play. And then, just with like locals, just getting into conversations because that's the town Nashville was, and it might still be for players. I don't know, But yeah, those guys are like still my friends to this day because that's the type of city Nashville was when I first got here. I have a lot of people I'm friends with to this day have absolutely nothing to do with the Tennessee Titans. They wake up, go to their 9-to-5s, and
it's
you know
amazing.
what I mean? So,
well, it's amazing how many people are like you that come here to work in whatever industry, and we'll go athletics, right? And they stay here.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because Nashville's special, man.
Yeah, I mean, I moved back to New York because I always had a place right outside the city. I moved back, and then when we started to, our family started to grow, and I started to outgrow the townhouse. I'm not gonna spend, I never sold my house here, and I feel that was the big mistake a lot of former players made. They get upset with whatever the situation was here in Tennessee, and I'm out of here and sell the house and this, that, and the other, and then a year and a half later, you're off that team. And it's like,
man, that was a pretty good play.
Yeah, and I don't got a house. And now you're like going through the whole cycle again, but now you're like 27, 28. It's a lot
more expensive.
It's more expensive.
Yeah.
You don't have as much money as you had back then. So it all worked out for me. So.
All right, we didn't get to Treylon Burks. We'll do that when we come back. Brian Callahan made some comments about him, and I'll tell you what Teron Davenport got from Rand Carthon. Get Bully's take. Keith Bullock in the house, Mr. Monday Night, 104.5 The Zone.
What is happening, good people? Listen, you feeling a little tired, a little grumpy? They said, hey, man, Slay look a little tired. Well, if that's the case, I need to scurry on over to Low T Center because they will get everything back in order. When they testing vitals, you can go do the exact same thing, get your T-levels tested, only for $25 right there at Low T Center. Results back in about 25 minutes. Make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Reinventing men's healthcare.
Is your home missing something when it gets dark? Maybe outdoor lighting. You guys know we did this whole backyard project at our house, but it was hard to enjoy it at night because we just didn't have enough lighting. Outdoor Lighting Perspectives Nashville is changing that for us. A local and family business. They've been here for 38 years. The owner, Bob, came to the house, talked about what we needed, designed a plan for our backyard, and it is absolutely perfect. Outdoor Lighting Perspectives is Nashville's oldest landscape lighting company. They're the leader in LED technology, and they can design, install, and maintain your lighting. Hey, side note, if you've ever been to Cheekwood over the holidays, it's gorgeous, right? Well, you've seen their work. Outdoor Lighting Perspectives has installed and maintained those holiday lights for the last 8 years, and they can do the same for you. Go to outdoorlights.com/Nashville and tell them Dawn sent you.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Ron Slay, Don Davenport back at it tomorrow. Brent Doherty with you. Keith Bullock in the house. Keith Bullock 53 on Insta.
That's it.
You like to have fun on there sometimes.
Yeah, I do. I like to post on my story. I cook, my travels.
Your travels are fun.
Some random things. I recently started I did it one time. So you know how you go on IG and they have all these great places to eat in Nashville? It's like, go here, go here, go here. Well, if you don't, they do.
I don't.
So they
do.
And I go try these places out.
Oh, wow, it works.
Yeah, but they're not always as good as they cracking up to be. I just think these people are just better editors and take better pictures of their food. But I'm not going to go on there and be like, oh, this place is trash. Don't come here. I just go experience it for myself.
Do you have 2 or 3 places that you really like?
I do.
Because Callahan mentioned the other day he's been getting out and about a little bit.
Right.
His family's still in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And he mentioned Cane Prime, which is
Cane is cool.
Yeah.
Cane is cool. I mean, I can give him some better choices than Cane. But like I said, not going to talk bad about any local.
No. It's a personal preference for everyone.
I like Cane. I like, depends on what I'm going for. I like Urban Grub. Like if I'm
Urban
just getting
Grub's
out
good.
of my house and I'm just going to go chill. And I always eat at the bar at places I go. So, you know what? That Italian place right here, Luago or something like that. I had that a couple weeks ago.
Where? In the Gulch?
It's right across from the W Hotel.
Oh, okay.
So it's it's a white building. It's Italian. They have a pretty extensive menu.
I
will
love
say,
Italian food, man. Too much.
carne mare is good at the bottom of the W. Those short rib raviolis, they go.
What about bourbon and steak on top of the JW Marriott?
Yeah, I like that.
That bar is incredible.
Yeah, if you could get in, you got to get there at 5 o'clock, beat the line, and, bum rush the bar. But yeah, bourbon is better, has a better atmosphere than Cane Prime. So you can, point.
For those that don't know, if you've been around downtown and you see the JW Marriott and it's got a jutted out area up top, that's half of the bar.
Yeah.
That's up there.
It's a whole restaurant up there.
It's an incredible view.
To get to know your city. I was just saying there's so much stuff. Me being at the station today, I'm going to find somewhere here in town to get dinner or something like that.
I've been to
out here.
I will say this. I'll tell on both of us. I've been to Losers and walked in and seen you in there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, first and foremost, I want to say Losers, I think Losers opened in 2005. Shout out to my boy Steve Ford. Rocky Boyman, Tank Williams, and probably Steve McNair. We were the first patrons there because I remember it was Mack was hurt and 40 just opened the bar, and I remember it was maybe 500 square feet.
There wasn't a lot over there at that point, right? You know what I mean?
No, the good old days.
Yeah, that's still a fun spot though. 615-737-1045 at 3HL 1045. All right, what did the head coach have to say about your boy Treylon Burks? This is what he said.
I do like some of the traits that Treylon has shown on tape. There's some things that I'm excited to work with, and then he's got to do his part when it comes down to taking care of yourself and making sure he's ready to roll when we start. But talented player and one that's got some development to go. I would say Jamar's development is in a whole different stratosphere. He didn't need a whole lot of it, but again, I'm excited about what Treylon could bring for us.
Whoa.
What's your take on that one?
I'm making all these faces.
He's put some good stuff on tape. He was looking for some things to say that were positive, right? That's what I felt like.
Is his name Treylon or Treylon?
Treylon.
Okay, so first of all, I got to get the head coach to know how to pronounce the kid's name. And I think that I think that's a fair assessment. If you've been in Cincinnati working with the likes of T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Boyd, you know what I'm saying? You got a stable. And obviously they scouted and looked at Treylon Burks when he was coming out. And he didn't even mention anything about, we scouted him when he was coming out. I saw these things from him. What he did say was he has ways to go in his development. This is year 3. You can't still be developing in year 3 as a first-round draft pick. Now, what I can say is your development has to show in year 3. You still can't be work, and he's gotten opportunities to start, to play, he has a lot of game time action. So
that's what I took from it, that it was almost like, hey, man, this is your last chance.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here's what Rand said. Rand said Treylon Burks is out training with D-Hop and some other pros, and it's an offseason where he's not having to get healthy.
Well, I mean, look, that's in his benefit that he's not having to get healthy.
Right.
But
benefit is out there.
Was
yes.
was he hurt last offseason?
I guess.
Well, look,
I don't remember.
Well,
there's so many injuries over there, man.
I would just say like this, and I'll get off Treylon Burks. This is year 3 for him, so the expectations is high for year 3. You would hope, and obviously, you would hope that the Titans don't have to go out and get a high draft pick at wide receiver because they just got one 2 years ago. It doesn't seem that way. So he's going to have some competition from a younger kid who's going to have a different mentality than him. I just don't feel like Treylon Burks' mentality gives me he's not a killer in a sense that he's going to, get in a position to demand the ball and want to be it doesn't even, to me, this is just me personally, he doesn't come off as if he's striving to become an elite number 1 in the NFL. And to what Coach said, he has to be healthy, to be fair to him. He has to be healthy to be able to do that. But that's just an assessment of the 2 years that I've seen. He hasn't been available to really help this team at all.
Yeah, I want to, when we come back, we'll replay that cut because you were making facial expressions during that
crazy.
whole thing, and it was only 20 seconds long. So we'll do that again when we come back. 615-737-1045. Do y'all trust in Treylon Burks? Because I'll tell you this, Brian Callahan coming from Cincinnati, he will have a stable of wide receivers in the next, that team's going to look differently in 2 years from now. It may look differently next
needs
year.
I think he's going to need to get up to speed to just piggyback what you're saying, because Callahan, I think, and I'm a believer from what he said, he knows how to pick the talent that he wants.
615-737-1045.
What's happening? Ron Slay right here. Listen, KellumStemCellInstitute.com is where you should go to when you have inflammation. I mean, flaming your body. Yeah. Knees, shoulders, even my hip, man. All of it is getting back in order, and it was unbearable, honestly. Couldn't sleep on my right side. These are all things that, I had to deal with after playing 14 years pro and starting when I was 6, 7 years old, and it just wear and tear on your body, man. But you had an opportunity to go and get it taken care of. My body, my cells, I chose it to be my solution. You can do the exact same thing. I got the stem cells harvested and redeployed based on my needs, and that was on my knee. And as soon as I felt the injection go in, I promise you, an hour later, I felt the inflammation, boom, out of there. It was attacking it immediately. You can do the same. All you got to do is get you a consultation today at 615-850-4415. That's KellumStemCellInstitute.com.
Good evening from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Honk. You got about 58 minutes until number 11 Auburn and number 4 Tennessee get going over in Knoxville. You'll be able to hear that right here on 104.5 The Zone. At the moment, Tennessee is your number 1 seed heading into the SEC tournament, and Auburn is a game behind them at number 3. The Grizz are up in Minneapolis tonight as they are going to be taking on the Timberwolves, who are the number 1 team at the moment in the Western Conference. Tip off at 7, and you can watch that on Bally. And then don't forget tomorrow afternoon, 1:30 at the Nissan Stadium parking lot. It is the official groundbreaking ceremony for the brand new stadium. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, a flagship station for your Tennessee Titans, as well as home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
HL 104.5 The Zone. Brent Doherty with you on a Wednesday afternoon in the Music City. Don Davenport and Ron Slay will be back tomorrow. Keith Bullock in the house.
Holding it down, man.
I know you like the college basketball game as well, and we had some games last night. We were talking about Kentucky during the break. Kentucky won a thriller in Starkville, 91-89 over Mississippi State. It was a fun game to watch. Freshman guard Reed Shepard, sensational. 32 points, 11 of 14 from the floor, hit the game winner. Here's the thing. The Cats had lost 4 out of 6, and then they started playing defense. And Cal's been talking about it all year. These guys can score the basketball with anybody in the country, but until they play defense, they're not going to get where they need to go. Well, they've started to do that, obviously, and they've won 4 out of 5. They host Arkansas Saturday. They'll win that one. Then Vandy Wednesday. They'll win that one. Then they wrap the regular season in Knoxville against Tennessee. You like the Kentucky team? I
do like the Kentucky team. Besides the freshman you just mentioned, Dillingham off the bench is killer. They got a 7-footer, and they have a good coach. I don't want to say great coach. Some people can say.
I'm surprised he doesn't have more than one. I'm surprised he only has 1 title.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely a legend. He's up there like with some of the legendary coaches in basketball. Yep. But I feel that obviously the way that the Vols play, they're consistent. They've shown consistency over the last definitely 2-3 years. That being said, Kentucky hasn't been as consistent as you know them in the past. So I think this team that they have right now, if they continue to play like this and can put it together through the tournament, the SEC tournament, you don't necessarily have to win, but if they go deep into the SEC tournament, I think they put themselves in a good position for entering the NCAA and actually to maybe even go far in there.
It's also seeding is so important in the NCAA tournament, and they've gone from Joe Lunardi's 5 line to the 4 line, so they can get inside that 1 through 4 seed.
I think
that's a good spot for them.
I think they're the team. They're one of the teams that the other teams have to worry about.
Yep,
I think that's where Kentucky is sitting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. LSU beat Georgia 67-66. Bulldogs had 2 shots to win it, but missed them both. And Vanderbilt went on the road to Arkansas, took down the Hogs 85-82 to pick up their 3rd conference win. Mannion had 22, Lawrence 21. Vin Allen Lubin continued his strong play. We were talking about him yesterday. 19 points and 12 rebounds his last 9 games. He's over 15 points per game. Vandy hosts LSU Saturday at 2:30. Then at Kentucky Wednesday, they wrap with a home game against Florida.
Let me ask you something about Vandy. Yeah. I hear you and Slay talking about it. They obviously didn't start off and haven't been playing the way that I don't know how people expect them to play. I guess they've been underachieving.
That's one of the arguments that we've been having with people. Like, what is the expectation level?
You know what I mean? I think, the name Jerry Stackhouse makes that, gives Vandy fans more expectations. So I guess my question is, because I don't really pay attention to Vandy basketball, is what do you think that they're missing? What is it that isn't allowing them to be as competitive in the SEC when they were? Because they have been before. I've been here long enough to know that Vanderbilt basketball has been competitive in the SEC. They haven't been a pushover.
When I was a kid, it was Memorial Magic. It was one of the more special places to play in the country.
Right.
And certainly not that anymore. I don't know. Multiple former Vandy players have told me Jerry Stackhouse is great, like in-game X's and O's guy, but how in the world did this roster get this way?
Right.
And so I don't know if they end up, maybe they can beat LSU. Certainly they can beat LSU. But if they end up 4-14, is that enough for them to move on from Jerry Stackhouse?
Are the requirements that difficult? Like for to get into Vandy?
Yes.
Like it's not like you need more than a 2.5 GPA?
I mean, there are notorious stories over there. Like Ron Mercer would have gone to Vanderbilt, but I mean, the academic requirements, they don't lessen them for athletes.
Right.
And given the time that you have to spend as an athlete doing your thing, like
you got to bring that down.
You
got to
bring it down, and so like people argue Northwestern, and I'm like, they do. Northwestern, Stanford.
Right.
I don't know about Duke. Northwestern and Stanford, though, I know lower the academic requirements, and people are like, well, Northwestern. I'm like, okay, well, 3 out of 6 years they won 10 games.
Right.
At one point under Pat Fitzgerald in football, so like they've had success over there. Stanford certainly has. But yeah, I think that's key for Vanderbilt moving forward. Like if I'm a coach coming in there, that's a prerequisite.
I mean, look, and I think in today's day and age, the student athlete is way different than they were when I was coming out, because at the end of the day, you see a lot of these student athletes are also academic All-Americans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You can do it.
There was definitely nobody in my freshman class, no academic All-Americans. Maybe some
Why are you laughing, man?
study table All-Americans, but I'm just saying, like, we had some smart guys, but like, there has to be like some type of balance. You know what I mean? Because look, you can look at it, the student body doesn't get it lowered, but look, the student body isn't bringing in millions and millions and millions of dollars each year. So, there's give and there's take, so hey.
615-737-1045. You can watch the show YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Thank you, Hunk. F&M Bank Chat is open. Jeremy writes, KB Syracuse Orange beat Virginia Tech last night. LOL.
You know what, man? I can't get too excited about Syracuse basketball. We're in a transition period. We got Adrian Red Autry doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just the type of basketball player that we get. When I watch college basketball these days, the basketball IQ isn't as high as it used to be. You don't see
That is definitely true.
Yeah, you don't see too many players that really have that true high basketball IQ, like growing up watching Kenny Anderson.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Did you see the piece, Gino Auriemma, I'm not a fan of. Appreciate his success and all, but I was a Pat Summitt person. But anyway, it's still him. But he said, why are people surprised that like European guys that are come over are more developed in terms of basketball IQ? He said, think about it. He said, you play AAU basketball, you're probably playing 6 games a week. You're going to practice 1 game. And over there, they practice 6 times a week and play 1 game.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, in the AAU has replaced, because I played AAU.
You did that, right?
And it was just during the summer. It was just like summer ball. And then you have your school league, and then, and you practice. And like our AAU teams never practice, but now what they've become is showcases. And I'm sure Slay could speak to this way better, but they become showcases because you even hear it about the NBA All-Star game. It was terrible, but you have this new generation of basketball player who they've been playing AAU on these teams together since they were 13, and then now they're in the NBA, and they've been in these type of games before. Like, so making the All-Star game, it's kind of like a badge of honor. Yeah, I'm an All-Star. You get to wear that tag. I'm an All-Star. But the fans get gypped because they don't get that, that matchup that you want to see, the best in the world versus the best in the world. And we were privy to see that growing up, All-Star matchups up until about maybe 2005 or
With
something
Bird
like
and
that.
Magic, and like they were going after each other.
Exactly. Even when Kobe was playing, like Kobe was definitely like a dog when it came to, making sure the West, they wanted to win. There was more to it. They wanted to win. And now it's just dunks, 3-pointers, and, whatever. I didn't even watch the game. I was watching
They shot like 147 threes or something.
Yeah, it didn't attract me to the All-Star game.
You watched something else?
Yeah, I was watching the WWE Superstars. You know how they take the biography.
Same.
Yeah, they take you back. It was good. It's good.
We didn't get to Brian Callahan and Treylon Burks again. We'll do that when we come back. And then I'm going to ask you about Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson and some of the things he says that he wants to put on the field as a defense, and get your take on that. 615-737-1045 if you want in. Bully and Keith Bullock on 1045 The Zone.
What is happening, good people? Listen, you feeling a little tired, a little grumpy? They said, hey, man, Slay look a little tired. Well, if that's the case, I need to scurry on over to Low T Center because they will get everything back in order. When they testing vitals, you can go do the exact same thing. Get your T-levels tested only for $25 right there at Low T Center. Results back in about 25 minutes. Make your health and quality of life a priority. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Reinventing men's healthcare.
3HL 1045, The Zone. Brent Doherty, Keith Bullock in the house.
Yes, sir.
Talked a lot of Titans football today. A little college basketball.
Yeah. You know what? You did send me a run. I should have been like, yo, I could do this, I could do that. Well, we do our thing.
We've kind of followed it a little bit. Haven't gotten that. I want to get your take on some of the stuff Denard Wilson has been saying about what that defense might look like. It's tough, too, as an incoming coach because you really don't know because, you've got to study the pieces that are there. Obviously, free agency is coming up, and Titans have, depending on who you look at, maybe the most cap room. And then you've got the draft coming up, too. So it's hard to say, well, definitively, this is what we are.
Right.
But in terms of big picture, idea – I think he said some interesting things, which we'll get to. I want to go back to Brian Callahan, Titans head coach, talking about Treylon Burks. And this is 20 seconds of facial expression from Keith Bullock. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. Please. Yeah, thank you, Hunk. Again, talking about Treylon Burks. And obviously, this is a big year. I mean, this is a big year for him, right?
1,000%.
And a lot of that has to do with being healthy and all those things, but also some of it has to do with, hey man, go out there and be a dog. You know what I mean?
This
is what Brian Callahan had to say about Treylon Burks.
I do like some of the traits that Treylon has shown on tape. There's some things that I'm excited to work with, and then he's got to do his part when it comes down to taking care of yourself and making sure he's ready to roll when we start. But talented player and one that's got some development to go. I would say Jamar's development is in a whole different stratosphere. He didn't need a whole lot of it, but again, I'm excited about what Treylon could bring for us.
That's crazy.
I like some of the things on tape. I like some of the things that we'll be able to work with. He's got some development to go as a first-round pick in year 3. But, I mean, he's being real,
Bro, he said that, there's no, if the head coach said, how much work do I have to put in if I'm a first-round draft pick wide receiver and my new head coach says that the wide receiver from the Cincinnati Bengals is in a different stratosphere? Not on another level. Different stratosphere. So that tells you the type of elite wide receiver play that Callahan is used to. Like he said, look, if you got somebody, we like people that can score touchdowns. We like people that are open now. So it's like said Hut, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Throw that thing up. Jamar Chase is going to get it. So that's the type of, and then you got T. Higgins as well, and then you got Boyd. So those are the type of receivers he's used to working with. So now he's going to go out there. Look, DeAndre Hopkins is not going to disappoint. He's 11-year. He has a vet. He's going to love having DeAndre Hopkins in his stable. But who are my young dogs? And Treylon Burks is supposed to be the guy bringing these young guys along. So who is the actual young leader in the forefront of the wide receiver room right now that's not DeAndre Hopkins? Who is that guy?
Right, because Brian Callahan's going to bring them in.
Yeah, who is that guy?
He's going to have top-line receivers.
So it's
That's what he believes in.
Look, man, playing in this league, my thing was I'm coming in as a rookie looking who I can beat out. Oh, okay, they got Greg Favors is starting, Godfrey, and Eddie, they just went to the Super Bowl. Okay, I'll wait my turn. Year 2 coming in. All right. Yeah, I'm going to beat out.
You can tell, though, your rookie year, just from remembering back, your work on special teams and things like that. You knew that you were going to be a player.
Right. I feel you. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. I wasn't just happy with being here. I wanted to win Rookie of the Year. I wanted to do all the things that come with playing in the NFL. I wanted to do those things. And like I said earlier, what I realized is it took me, and I always knew, but going through it as a pro, that football is the ultimate team sport. Okay, I could be as good as I want. I could make as many all-pros. You've seen Joe Thomas do it in Cleveland for many years at left tackle. And, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame, good player, but he never got anything out of it, nothing gratifying. And being an offensive tackle isn't necessarily the position that Taylor Lewan's a different type of situation, but most offensive tackles aren't going to be the voice and the leader of the football team. Like I said, we just had a different situation here, but to Taylor's, to what Taylor brought to the table, I feel like that helped those Titans teams when they didn't have someone that was going to step up and speak up. He put himself out there, and
He's always truthful too.
Right, and you have to be that way. It's just, it might be different from people from a football space hearing the O-line speak, but who cares, bro? Like, if you want to win, I don't care if it's the center. I don't care if it's not going to be the kicker. But like, you need guys like that are going to, step up, call people out, but your play has to be on point too. That's the hardest part.
Yep, and he would always call himself out too. What do you make of D-Hop kind of taking him under his wing this offseason and say, hey, man, come train with me and my guys?
I think that somebody got in D-Hop's ear and was like, yo, you got to get this guy right. Or D-Hop just spent a year with him and be like, look, bro.
Maybe saw something in him that he doesn't see in himself.
Or just wants to teach him how to be a pro. At the end of the day, man, once you get to a certain point in your career, so you figure DeAndre Hopkins came in here this past year wanting to prove that, like, yo, I can still play this game. Y'all are tripping. And he went out there and he did that very, very easily. Went out there and showed that he could play this game with not a lot of surrounding pieces around him.
That's right.
Him having to be the man in his 30s, I think he did a great job of that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he understands and knows that, look, Treylon can be a guy. He needs to be the guy. And in year 3 as a first-round draft pick, DeAndre Hopkins was a first-round draft pick. He knows what's up. So I think that, it's in his job description, his unwritten job description, to kind of pour back into your guys. Like, I remember having a young
I believe in that fully.
Yeah, having a young Steven Tulloch. And, I saw Tully over at the Super Bowl. And, we didn't always have the best relationship as teammates, because sometimes I have to be an a-hole and have to get on people, and young guys don't necessarily like that. I don't care. Go home, cry to your girlfriend, your mom, or whoever. We're trying to win right here. You see what I'm saying? So that was my mentality. Yeah, whoever. That was my mentality when I was a leader, a captain, because at the end of the day, I wanted to win. You ain't nothing in the NFL unless you're winning.
Keith Bullock. At Keith Bullock 53 on Instagram, at KBull 53 on Twitter. The NFLPA, I'm going to get to Denard Wilson here in a second, but the NFLPA put out a poll. They do this every year when they poll players and ask them about all kinds of things, the environment at the facility, the management, coaching, all this stuff. Titans players, according to Mike Herndon, NFL, Titans players raised two issues that stand out from the survey and require improvement. And I wanted to get your take on this. The first is the club's travel accommodations, as players are designated to sit in the back of the plane where many players don't fit in the seats, while the staff sit in first class. Also, the Titans are one of only 7 teams that make some of their players have roommates the night before games. Players want to be able to prepare the game without having to share a room.
Well, the first one about the planes, look, we flew the same way. It was there are teams where they give their, vets, they get first class and so on and so forth. But, yeah, the coaches sat in first class because they worked so hard playing. They have to rest in first class. But, like.
Was that ever an issue with y'all?
Nah, we didn't care.
I know y'all had a good time on the plane, especially when you won.
The only time we really cared was, like, because back in the day, you had suite holders or ticket people, like, actually fans that, like, traveled with us, coming back, they might hear some things and see some things they shouldn't really be hearing or seeing, but I feel like they shouldn't be on the plane, but it was all good. And as far as roommates.
Did y'all do that?
You had a choice. I remember my rookie year, our first preseason game, my roommate was Aaron Kenny.
Oh, yeah, EK.
Yeah, EK.
I saw him in Vegas.
Yeah, I saw him. He was here for something.
We were walking past, like, we had just seen Cam Newton throwing dice and playing craps, and Don, like, stopped and go, Cam, and did War Damn Eagle, like, song and started dancing. He just started laughing at her. And so we rolled around the table. They were looking for, like, they were looking for a $10 blackjack table, which was good luck, right? They were all packed. And there were only a couple of them anyway. So we circle back, and there's Aaron Kenny and his wife Julie playing.
Nice.
And it was so good to see. What a good dude.
Well, yeah, so, like, we're roommates, and he gives me a bag of cookies that his wife Julie made.
Yeah.
And, he's like, wanted to read the Bible. That's not how I get ready for the game. So I had to be like, yo, I need my own room. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little more violent. You know what I'm saying? Teach their own. But I feel to what the players are saying.
I totally can see that.
I feel what the players are saying. You need your own space, and what we had to do, I think we paid like an extra $50 to get.
And you can get your own room.
Yeah, you get your own room. So, yeah, but EK wanted to read Bible verses, which is cool, but not the night before a game, buddy.
Were you trying to rip people's heads off?
What? Thinking I'm dark. It's a foster kid.
Second issue that was raised most often by respondents is the field surface at the stadium. Before the 2023 season, the team decided to switch from natural grass to synthetic. Consistent with how players responded across the NFL on the question of field surfaces, 92% of players say they prefer playing on natural grass to synthetic. Titans players responded with disappointment that they moved from grass to artificial.
So is the issue, and this is a real question, is the issue that teams go to turf because it's easier when they have to swap out and do like events at their stadium, so on and so forth?
I think that's one reason.
And it might just look better towards it keeps better towards
Looks
the end
better.
of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how they resolve
They say that the grass here, like you can't grow grass in Nashville because of the climate. Is their argument. So, like, when you look
at it. In 2024? That sounds stupid. In 2024.
Keep pulling, sugarcoating things.
Hey, look, I know there are a lot of creative people.
I'm just saying what
there's somebody listening to this show right now saying, like, hell, I can grow some grass right now. Give me a shot.
My guys at Diggins Serving Landscape Supply can help.
Of course. That's ridiculous, but, hey, I'm not going to shoot the messenger. My bad.
Did you like turf or grass?
I liked grass. So I played on turf for all my years at Syracuse, but it was like that carpet turf. It wasn't
like concrete underneath it.
Yeah, it was like a little, but like I learned Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison taught me how to roll on turf because I got a turf burn.
Oh yeah, you don't want to slide.
Yeah, I was playing defensive back. I got a turf burn. He's like, I'm like, jumped up. Like, yeah, young fella, you gotta learn how to roll on the turf. Not too many. Hey, as a true freshman, Marvin Harrison didn't talk to me much, but I remember every time that he did, and that was one of them.
Donovan McNabb on that team.
Did someone put on
Twitter?
Had some dudes. Somebody put on Twitter, and I retweeted it. The game versus Tennessee and Syracuse.
How many pros?
That was like that was a classic that doesn't get like a lot of run. That's like one of those that they can easily put on ESPN, and people will be like, "Oh my god!"
Listen, as a Tennessee guy, y'all might have got screwed in that one.
I mean, look, whatever. It's everybody.
There's a pass
that.
Interference call on 4th and 10 that came late.
At least y'all won the national. I always say, yeah, we know that's the truth, but I always say, at least you guys won the national championship. You know what I mean? Because we definitely probably would have tricked it off somewhere down the line.
So, Jamal Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
That was your first look at him,
bro. That was like so so J. Lou was a true freshman.
Yeah.
And, so there's no tape on him. It doesn't make sense to watch high school tape. But I remember my Coach Rippon, being like, we're getting ready for the youth. And this freshman, he's going to run the ball up your butts. You got, coaches get all nervous. You just high-pitched voice.
For those that don't know, Jamal was like 235 pounds, could run a 4.4.
Yes. And then,
and his shoulder pads were the biggest in the world.
So you're hearing about this guy, They're on offense first. Defense go out. I was playing middle linebacker at this point in my junior year. And, I formation, Sean Bryson is the fullback. Jamal Lewis is way bigger than the fullback. I just remember
ISO play coming.
Yeah, I just remember J. Lou having his hands on his thighs and just remembering, like, dang, his triceps are huge. Sad hut.
Do you think he did that on purpose? Do you think he flexed?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course you do, man. You do everything you could do, in order to get an advantage. But the thing that was always great for me, I never got intimidated playing football, especially like in college. Because it's like, maybe when you first start playing in Pop Warner and you go to different neighborhoods to play and the people are right there on the sidelines and they're, talking crazy to you and stuff like that. High school as well, but in college, it's like a controlled environment. So, like, no individual is intimidating me. I never had an intimidation factor playing football. The only intimidation factor I may have had is when like you have to go to those different, like in high school and like I was more worried about the people on the sidelines than the people in the games. That's what I'm saying.
In New York,
the people in the stands and stuff.
For those that don't know, like in New York, it's kind of a thing. Like they didn't play it Friday night. You played Saturday in the daytime.
Saturday
for a reason.
12 kickoff, yeah, for sure. And it can still get active.
Oh man, 615-737-1045. Titans defense coordinator Denard Wilson asked about his style of defense. He said 3 things. KB: attack, violent in our approach, and play smart. He also wants a brotherhood to play as one, and he wants obnoxious communication.
Okay, so the attack.
You roll with that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the first thing is what was it? Attack, aggressive.
Violent in our approach, and play smart.
That's basic defense. You know what I mean? So, like, that's him putting it out there to the guys. Like, look, this is what I'm expecting of you guys. These are the first 3 things I'm expecting. And then the obnoxious communication. The best defense is communicate. Like, you could go back to when I was like, you should hear you could tell a good defense if you go watch practice because you can hear them talking. Mm-hmm. You can hear everything that they're saying. Like, I'm coming out, I'm talking to the defensive backs, I'm talking to the linebackers, I'm talking to the defensive line. All of this is before the snap of the ball, so we all can be on the same page. Chris Hope is coming up to me if he sees something. It's like, hey, KB, watch X, Y, and Z. Mike Griff, and then I just take it down the line. You know what I'm saying? So communication is key, and a lot of teams don't know how to communicate. In sports in general. Like, I watch my daughter play volleyball, and that's a sport you definitely have to communicate. And these young ladies aren't saying anything. I'm like, you guys like each other? Like, what's going on? But like,
different generation.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you have to be able to communicate. You have to know anticipation plays into a big factor in the NFL for sure, and you have to be able to do that, and the best way to do that is if everybody's communicating before the snap of the ball.
And he said this about the attacking style of defense. He's like, we want to dictate pace on defense.
Yeah.
Like most people think, okay, the offense dictates pace. He's like, we want to dictate pace on defense.
Well, the way the offense can dictate pace is the tempo, the way they get to the ball, line of scrimmage. So if you're dictating the pace on defense, you're just always ready to play.
You're behind the chains.
Yeah, you're playing fast. You're playing great defense on first and second down, and you're playing for the offense to be in third and 6 and longer.
Put them in pressure situations.
Because, let's face it, Baltimore had a pretty good blitz package, good defense. They put a lot of pressure on teams. They play fast. They hit people. Now what we have to dig into is, do we have that on this roster?
Right.
I know we got Amani Hooker. Nice player.
There's so many holes.
Linebacker, I don't know what we have.
2 inside linebackers.
Right. D-line, we have Big Jeff, and we hope Danico comes back.
Hopefully.
What are we putting together? So I understand that's the style of defense you would like to play, but if you don't got people that's coming downhill from the linebacker position, smacking people in the face. Look, he had Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy
you
to
might
play
have
that
to. You might have to depend. Yeah,
You know
I get what you're saying. So depending on personnel, maybe in the early years before you get your roster, you have to let people keep people in front of you.
I feel I feel they definitely need to tighten up at the cornerback position, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at the cornerback position, if you can get somebody that can shut a side down, like I don't know what Snead can do. There's a reason that the Chiefs are letting him, test the market. Is he a shutdown corner? You need a Sauce Gardner. You need a shutdown corner, and at 7, I don't think that they're going with that. But then also, you see a guy like Josh Norman wasn't a first-round pick, but he was good for some years. So if you can get one of those guys that are young, that's hungry, and you get the first 3-4 years out of them, I think that's kind of where the Titans kind of sit. If you can get a second, third-round draft pick or somebody that's a young, hungry corner playing for another team that's ready to be the man and can show he can be the man and lead a classroom, meaning a defensive unit, I think that's what you're looking for.
More Titans talk. Keith Bullock in studio. Brent Doherty, Keith Bullock with you. 3HL 1045 The Zone. The home slate is winding down for Belmont basketball. There are 3 chances for you to catch them this week, and you can head over to the Curb Event Center to cheer on the Bruins. Visit BelmontBruins.com for schedule and ticket information. It is Bruin time. If you haven't been, what an incredible environment at Curb Event Center. And Belmont basketball is such a fun and exciting brand of basketball to watch. Both men and women. Bruin fans, single game tickets on sale now. Make sure you stop by the ticket office or go online and purchase at BelmontBruins.com. That's the easiest way, BelmontBruins.com. Don't miss out on all the free giveaways, promotions, and tickets starting at just $10. Ticket representatives are standing by now, and it's easy to get in touch. You can simply text them or call them. But you can text or call at 615-460-BALL, B-A-L-L. If you text, someone will text you right back immediately. Again, that's 615-460-2255, or visit BelmontBruins.com. Belmont basketball, it's Bruins time, and it is the best entertainment value in Nashville. Safe, family-friendly environment, upgraded concessions, including kid-friendly and healthy choices. Free covered parking close to the Curb Event Center. Belmont basketball, it's Bruin time.
Okay, did you know that probably 80% of new home buyers don't ever shop around for the best mortgage loan? That is a huge mistake, especially right now because mortgage rates have come down a lot in the past couple of months. Loan Pronto is who you need to call because they will always find you the best rate. Not all mortgages are created equal, and people who use Loan Pronto save on average $3,500. Just in closing costs there. And on top of that, they get a better rate, which of course saves you more and more, thousands more every single year. So maybe your go-to lender are great people, your banker, your agents, whatever, but don't assume that they are giving you the best deal. Call Loan Pronto. You can get a quick second opinion, or you can even start the entire process online. That's why they are able to find the best rate, kind of cut out middleman there. LoanPronto.com is where you can start online, or just give them a call. Let them help you with whatever you need rate-wise. 615-499-5780. That's loanpronto.com at 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
3HL 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up the Wednesday edition. Fitty.
Fifth. But yeah, see, like when I talk about mentality, this the type of music that was out when I was, it was 50 Cent. It was all aggressive stuff. Like
what did you use to get ready for a game? Like we were talking to Zach Pillar about this the other day. So like Mack would go, Steve McNair would go find somewhere to take a nap.
Yeah.
And like on the road, like y'all wouldn't even know where he was. Like somebody would find a room or something. But Zach said that he was worried about getting his playbook right. So he would go pick B-Hop's brain, he said. And so I talked to Brad about that the other day. He's like, yeah, that's true. He would come over to me before the game. What did you do to get ready? Aaron Kinney was reading Bible verses.
Yeah,
so we know that.
I would come into the stadium ready to play. So like on the way to the stadium, listening to I'm like at that point, it's all like turning into whatever it's all mental at that point. So a lot of very aggressive hip hop, some like old rock, like that maybe I used to like 80s rock, 90s rock, whatever it is, but definitely like songs and stuff
Just get your juices going a little bit.
Yeah, that just kind of put you in the mood, and I'd go out on the field and do my routine and hope that somebody had something crazy to say to me.
Did that happen?
Nah, not really, man. Because I'm a talker, but I'm a talker more so to my teammates. Like, I'm a talker in practice. You know what I mean? Like, trying to get the best out of my teammates and for them to try and get the best out of me. I'll talk after the game. I'll say something before the game, but during the game, like that's always I tell Ray Lewis, like I don't know how you talk so much during the game because I will pass
energy,
out.
Right?
Yeah, I will pass out because then I gotta go back and call the plays, and I'm sitting like, how am I talking junk to the running back? Schwartz is in my ear giving me the play. Like I'm not focused if I'm doing all that. You understand what I'm saying? But like I did do a fair share of talking, but I like to talk before the game because. Now it's just me and you. We between these lines. If you didn't like what I said or I didn't like what you said, we can handle this right here. So that's what I loved about football.
Competitive mindset.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's another thing that I wrote down to bring up to you. Denard Wilson talking about his goals to get the most out of his players. He's like, because that's what they expect from me.
Right.
For me to help them get the most out of themselves. He said, number 1, teach. Number 2, motivate. Number 3, inspire.
Those are
leadership qualities.
So yeah,
and I talked about that earlier. Like we all do it in business. Like if you've been in a certain business for a long time and you've got younger people coming up and stuff, sometimes you see something in someone that they don't see in themselves.
Right. So like motivate. Let's just stick with the word motivate. Right. So what Denard is, what coach is going to have to learn is how do I motivate this group of guys? So now you're
because everybody's different,
right? Some of these guys. These guys are all professionals. So are these guys motivated by money? Are they motivated by winning championships? Are they motivated by being the best player at their position in the NFL? Like, so you got a lot of different individuals. You got to find out what motivates them. Like, what motivates Big Jeff now that he's gotten paid? Coming off of a little injury last year, like what's motivating him going into this season? What's motivating, Amani Hooker? Now he's starting the season with no Kevin Byard. He's the guy back there now,
I think you bring up an interesting point. So he's been a secondary coach, right? Like, so it's funny when you go positionally through a football locker room, positionally, I think are different personality types. Yeah. Like wide receivers are typically like way out here. And
give me the ball.
This is not uniform, but like wide receivers are divas. But like coaching secondary members is different than, and motivating them is different than, like you said, defensive linemen.
Yeah.
For example.
So
because that takes a different mentality to be up there on the line of scrimmage. It's a different game.
And he has to learn the players that he's playing with, and it's not going to come in OTAs. You'll learn some of that in OTAs, but how does your corner react after giving up a 3rd and 15? You know what I mean? So it's going to be a process. It's going to be a process. He can implement what he wants to implement, and he's just going to have to see how everybody gets down in balls.
It's been fun. Keith Bullock in studio. Hey, thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always fun. You do an incredible job.
Appreciate it.
And we really appreciate you. On the way out, Tennessee and Auburn, who wins?
Tennessee. The balls are all right. VAA for life.
Balls are all right. That's what you told Slay one day. Love it. Don and Ron, that sounds like a surf shop. Let me go. Slay and Babsy will be back tomorrow. We'll have Savagery reporting in on the Combine. Also, Greg Cosell will spend some time on draft prospects as he's been watching film. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, making us a part of your day. We do not take that for granted. Let everyone know about 104.5 The Zone. A lot of new people, obviously, in town. And we hope you have a safe night. Good night. God bless. KB, thank you, man.
Peace.